In this video, we're going to look at how we add and subtract polynomials. This is actually a pretty simple process if you understand some basic ideas. If we want to add polynomials, what we're going to do is we're going to identify the like terms, and then we will just add the coefficients of the like terms together and keep the same variable expression that exists. If we're going to subtract polynomials, we'll do the same thing, except instead of adding the coefficients, we're going to subtract the coefficients. Now, it's very important if you're going to be successful adding and subtracting polynomials that you understand the concept of like terms, because we're combining them by adding and subtracting them. Like terms are terms that have the exact same combination of variables and powers to which those variables are raised. And at the bottom of the screen, you see some examples of things that are like terms and things that are not like terms. The first pair, 5x squared and 3x squared, under the like term column, they have the same variable, x and x, and that variable is raised to the same power. So those are like terms. If you go over to the right-hand column, the not like terms, these are not like terms because while they have the same variable, the powers that that variable is raised to are different. One of them is raised to the second, one of them is raised to the fourth. Okay? If you look down into the second row here, like terms, on the left-hand side, 4x to the third y squared, 7x to the third y squared, those are like terms because they have the same combination of variables and exponents to which those variables are raised. X is raised to the third power in both, and y is raised to the second power in both. If you look over to the right-hand column, the not like terms, looks very similar, but those are not like terms because while they have the same variables and they have the same exponents, the variables are not raised to the same exponents. We see that x is raised to the third power on the first monomial here, and x is raised to the second power in the other one. So that right away makes them not like terms. And then the third row, you see we've got 2xyz squared and 6xyz squared. Same exact combination of variables and the powers that those variables are raised to. And if you look on the right-hand side, they're not like terms because in the first one, z is raised to the second power, whereas in the second one, y is raised to the second power. Okay, now let's look at how we're actually going to add and subtract. We'll start with simplifying a few problems. We look at A here. We're going to simplify this. So the first thing we want to do is we want to identify and look and see what like terms exist between the two polynomials that we're adding together. We see that we have an x squared term here and a corresponding x squared term in the other polynomial. We have an x term here and a corresponding x term in the other polynomial. And then we have a constant term in both, and we're going to combine those together. So to add these two together, we take the x squareds and add their coefficients. 3x squared and 4x squared, we add 3 plus 4 is 7. That's 7x squared. We do the same thing with the x's. We've got a plus 5x and a minus 2x. It's very important that we consider the sign that precedes the term as part of the coefficient. We're going to add these together. We've got a plus 5x and a minus 2x. Positive 5 and negative 2 add together to make positive 3. So we end up with plus 3x. And then we look at the numbers. We've got a minus 6 and a plus 2. We add those together, and that gives us a negative 4. And so we end up getting 7x squared plus 3x minus 4 when we add those two polynomials together. All right, let's look at the second example on this page. Again, I'm going to look through and identify the like terms. We've got x cubes in the first polynomial and x cubes in the second. We've got x squareds in the first polynomial and x squareds in the second. We've got x's in the second, but there aren't any in the first. And we've got a constant in the first, but no constant in the second. So we're going to combine the like terms that exist, 5x cubed and 3x cubed. Those add together to make 8x cubed. A negative 2x squared and a positive 6x squared. Those add together to make a positive 4x x squared. And now, since the other two terms that I have don't have any like terms in the other polynomial, we're just going to bring them forward as is because we're adding these together. So really what's happening is in this first polynomial I have 0 x's. And so I'm taking 0x plus negative 5x, and that gives me negative 5x. And I really have a plus 0 at the end of this second polynomial. So plus 7 plus a plus 0 gives us a plus 7. And that's how we add those two together. All right, on to subtraction. All right, in part A, first thing I'm going to do is identify the like terms. We've got x squareds in the first polynomial and x squareds in the second. We've got x's in the first polynomial and x's in the second. And we've got constants in the first polynomial, constants in the second. And so we're just going to combine these by subtraction. We start with the x squareds. 3x squared minus 4x squared gives us negative 1x squared. 5x minus a minus 2x. 5 minus a minus 2 is same as 5 plus 2. It's going to give us a plus 7x. And minus 6 minus a positive 2 gives us a minus 8. And that's what we get when we subtract those two polynomials. And on to the last example. We look again, identify which terms are like. We've got x cubeds in this polynomial, x cubeds in this polynomial. We've got x squareds in the first polynomial and x squareds in the second. We've got numbers in the first, but no numbers in the second. And we've got x's in the second, but no x's in the first. And here it's kind of important to use that idea that we really have a plus 0x in the first polynomial and a plus 0 to help us, especially in subtraction. A lot of people make sign errors because they don't think about it this way. But let's think about it this way. So let's start with our x cubes. We've got 5x cubed minus 3x cubed. 5 minus 3 gives us 2x cubed. We've got a negative 2x squared minus a positive 6x squared. Negative 2 minus positive 6 gives us negative 8x squareds. And now on to my x's. I have no x's minus a minus 5x. So 0 minus negative 5. That's 0 plus 5. Gives us a plus 5x. And then lastly, my constants. I've got a plus 7 minus 0. That's just going to be plus 7. And that concludes our little video on adding and subtracting polynomials. See you next time.